Hi, how is everyone today? We are so excited that you're joining us. This is our new episode called New Year, New Life. And we are so crazy excited that Dr. Micheal Brown is here with us all the way from New Zealand. And so I just invite you all just to sit back and relax and really just enjoy the conversation that we're having today, because what you're going to hear is transformational techniques that will really help you going through your year. And if you feel like this is something that brings value to you or someone you know, go ahead and share it. But I just have to say, Dr. Micheal Brown, thank you so much for being here with us. And I love that you have like the elephants in the background, like you're like
Yeah.
full throttle in all that you speak about.
Oh, I am, yes. So this is one of my practice rooms we're in at the moment, and it's got, I don't know how many elephants, but there's definitely quite a few in here. But yeah, it's an important part of the process, the elephants and the representation of that. But thank you. It's wonderful to be here and be part of this.
That's so great. That's so great. I know. After this, I want you to do like a pan around your room there. I love that. So tell us, how did you get started in this field? Was it something that you grew up in, or just something that you just kind of energetically drew to? What was your journey like?
I come from a small town in New Zealand called Tokoroa, which is it's a small population in the middle of the North Island of New Zealand. And intrinsically, I became quite familiar with Te Ao Māori, excuse me, which is the Māori culture, which is the indigenous people of New Zealand. And there is an affinity, if you like, to know that you can function through life in a way that doesn't have to be scientifically measured or doesn't have to be like anybody else. You can function in a way which is different, yet holistic and kind of whānau orientated, which means family orientated. So that was the genesis, if you will, of my ongoing kind of journey through life. And then I moved from Tokoroa to a bigger town in New Zealand called Hamilton, which I spent quite a few years in. And that was where I went through adolescence, through my young adult years, through journeys of divorces and bankruptcy and mental institutions, to where we are today, which is where I am in Auckland, with, excuse me, two practices where I work predominantly with children and adults as well who have been exposed to or have experienced high levels of sexual abuse or physical abuse. So the journey is quite long, and I don't know how long our time frame is, but in a kind of shortened version, the academic part of my life is something that has probably been 10 to 15 years work. The third space element of my life is my life, which is 53 years of work. So those two combined create that, um, in a way, a philosophy or understanding I have about how we engage with people and how we engage through life and navigate tough times. I see that as the third space in the lived experience.
That is amazing. So when you were going through this process and then you had your personal life and you were navigating through that, and then you were going through just your traditional, schooling and such to get where you are here, how did you end up meshing the two? I mean, is the culture like I've never been to New Zealand, right? So is the culture just more open to the spiritual side of what you do, which made it a little bit more easier, or to mesh the two?
I think there's a similarity, if you like, between religion and also mythology, which is part of any indigenous culture is mythology in a way, creation myths and how we kind of develop out of that in terms of a way of being or a sense of who we are in this world. So in a way, the two elements collided, which is the kind of the Pākehā white way and then the indigenous Māori way. And that collision, which is unavoidable anywhere in the world, there is always that collision that happens in society. I think I just got to a point where I realized that I didn't care too much about the differences, and that for me there was an element of living that was holistic in my own sense of what that meant for me. So I didn't care too much about what other people thought, and I just lived my own experience from learning other experiences from different cultures, different people, different ways of thinking. And it's the joining of those two things, and whether it be academic, whether it be kind of experience-based, there's still a lived experience that we can draw from that can't really be named in a lot of ways. It has some kind of higher power of direction that's outside of any measurable thing. So I guess there was no real turning point, no epiphany for me. It was just an understanding that you can read so much, you can study so much, you can engage with psychologists, psychiatrists, counselors, social workers so much that everything remains the same. There is no new thought. There must be something different that's out there that makes us expand and think. And what I see that different is the lived experience, the sharing of experience, the understanding that everybody goes through things in life which may appear different on the surface, yet the underlying ingrained sense is that it's the same. It's the same pain, hardship, difficulty, grief. That's the kind of space that I got to, and that's what I write about, and that's how I practice in terms of the third space with that in mind.
So was there a point in your life, specifically that you remember that you shifted into just embracing the spiritual side to a whole nother level where you brought it into your practice?
Again, it's excuse me, it's something that just evolves and changes. It's like when you're sitting in a room with a person that you're working with, and there's a practical way of going about things. There's an element of praxis. There's an element of this is how we are supposed to do it. This is the kind of questions we're supposed to ask. These are the things that we're supposed to do. I don't follow that. I've learned that and developed that and understood that and trained in that at an undergrad, a master's, and a doctorate level.
Yeah.
But I don't follow it. And so I may be looked upon as unfavorable in certain contexts by other practitioners because I don't follow that. But when you sit in a room and you're looking at the eyes of a child that's been sexually abused, everything like that goes out the door. You engage in something that's different. There's a feeling, a sense, an understanding. And whether it's holistic in terms of the child understanding, for me, it is holistic and I understand that part of it. To put words to it is more difficult because it's a sense, it's a belief, it's a way of moving forward engagement and through problems rather than anything that I can say the turning point that got me into a holistic space when I've always been in an holistic space.
Okay, so that's always just been part of your makeup of who you are as a person. I love that. I
I
love
would
that.
say it would have, yeah, I would
So
say it would have had to have been.
okay, so
Yeah.
the clients that come to you, do they already know that this is the space that you're in?
Yeah,
That's a we
mostly
definitely need more of that here in America, 100%. You know what I mean? That kind of calling, that
yeah.
kind of vibe, all of that. So, okay, so you have you've put together the 13 elephants, okay? And it's pretty phenomenal the way that you integrated all of this. And I would love for you to share how you came up with that concept.
Mm. So the 13 elephants, I've always had some kind of connection to the number 13 and to elephants throughout my life. When I was 13, my parents divorced. Um, I was married to my first wife for 13 years. Um, I went bankrupt after 13 years in business. So 13 had a significant part of my life of whatever that may be. I never really understood. I just knew that at 13, things would happen in time frames of 13. Elephants also have always been a significant part of my life from when I was a child. I've valued the loyalty of elephants. I've valued the disruption of elephants. I've valued the grace of elephants. So in a practice sense, 13 elephants is about saying there is always the concept or the notion that there's an elephant in the room. There's an unspoken thing. There's something that we share in a space with others that we don't choose to actually say out loud. And it could be our internal thoughts. We could think that guy over there's a dick. We could think, that person over there is something else, but we don't say it. Or there
Yeah.
could be something that's so blatantly obvious about the behavior of another person that everybody chooses to accept. So that's the elephant in the room, the thing that is unspoken. The 13 is something to be feared of in a lot of ways. The number 13 is a number that it's just a number. It doesn't mean anything really. It's just a number that kind of, is there. It's a construct. So
Mhm.
the 13 elephants combined is about saying, here's the elephant in the room, and here's this evil, horrible number that nobody wants to talk about. Let's combine the two and say, expose the elephant in the room. Talk
Oh,
about
yeah.
what it is in a way that's so confronting, yet it's not confronting because it's just a number. Number 13 is just a number.
Yeah.
There's no heat behind it. There's
Yes.
no mystery behind it. It's just a number. So why can't we, when we're in a room, confront that which we just don't choose to talk about? And I've sat
Right.
in many boardrooms, I've sat at senior leadership on a number of occasions, and I've constantly pushed myself out of that environment because I've raised the elephant in the room, because I think it's the only
Mm.
way forward. It's very career limiting, but it is very empowering. So that's what the 13 Elephant stands for. It's combining the two. It's saying it's okay to talk about something that may be very frightening and scary to talk about if you
Mm.
do it in a way which is honest and open and true. Mm.
Yes, yes. It sounds like you're also really into, you know, I would say a few years back, a lot were really jumping on board to the vulnerability, power of vulnerability and all of that. It seems like you've taken that to like a whole nother level. And I love that you even talk about the number 13, because you're right. We like put that number in a box and then we're like, oh,
Mm.
that's what that number means. And it doesn't, and so it's like in our heads, we just try to associate that it doesn't feel comfortable. It's not a comfortable
Yeah.
number. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then you have like your elephants over here. That is just a wild concept, the way that you brought that together. I love it. I mean, it's very visual and it's super powerful. So for you to stay really in alignment with the work that you do you have like a morning ritual that you typically do to keep you, because you are in a space where you're dealing with like the heavy of the heavy, situations here. So thank you for taking that on. Um, and so do you have to energetically do a lot in the morning just to keep you grounded on the day to day?
I've done this now for a lot of years, so you become familiar with what you're dealing with and it becomes normalized in a lot of ways, so nothing is shocking. And in that regard, it becomes something that you cleanse yourself with in whatever way you choose to do it. I do it by motorcycle riding. That's how I do it. I ride motorcycles and I ride them fast, and there's always a threat I might die, and I'm relying on other people to not hit me and run me over. But I find it incredibly therapeutic and meditative and holistic for me, because it not only energizes me, it calms me. So I
Mm,
can be in a kind of situation of great chaos, yet remain incredibly calm through my internal dialogue that I tell myself. So I'll wake up in the morning and know what I have to do during the day, but I don't give it too much attention, mainly because I've been doing it for so long and it becomes part of who I am and part of what I believe in.
right.
And it's a kind of it's a calming notion. And look, I've managed multiple counselors, psychologists, nurses in different contexts, and each have their own practice of cleansing a room. It might be with the bells, it might be with scents, it might be with lots of different things. It might be time, it might be um, many different ways of cleansing a room to remove what it is that is the poor energy or bad energy. For
Mhm,
me,
mhm.
I believe that everybody has their own individual energy, and that it's not my space to jump into that. It's my space to learn about that, live that through them, and then impart something of my knowledge to them that helps them navigate through life. So the cleansing for me of my space is not something that I need to do, because I just do it internally.
Right.
Um, and also because the depth of detail that's shared with me is not only complex but quite dark, but it's familiar to me, so I understand it. So it doesn't actually carry any heat with it, and it becomes normalized in a way which is therapeutic. Mm.
I love that. So how long did it take you to, it's almost like you you just encompass who you are throughout your daily
Mm.
activities and all that you do.
Okay.
So was there a time that you made this like a habit, or was this just something that you were just able to flow through life, just absorbing and becoming who you are?
I think when you've been called so many different things, there's lots of us are. you've been called so many different things, or you're labeled so many different things, whether it be that you are, I mean, I wear nail polish, I wear bangles, I don't look like an everyday doctor, I wouldn't think, but I don't know. I function in quite a different way in terms of how other people function. I have a very vast knowledge of Te Ao Māori, which is the Maori world, yet I'm not Maori. I predominantly work with women and young girls in terms of the kids. I'm not a woman, but I get labeled with all these things. So I get labeled with, this is what you are like. And you get to a point where you don't really care too much about how other people label you, and you
Right.
just function for who you are. You become who you are. So I will present in some part to other people as something that they think I am, and let that be it. Let them think whatever I am to them, that's fine. But for me, this is me. And that's just part of my life, and it always has been. I've never really fit in anywhere. And many people don't fit in anywhere. It's a case of, you don't necessarily have to describe that. You can just be that, and you can
Right.
share in that, and you can share by telling stories. Mm,
No, that's powerful. Well, I mean, you are very confident in who you are and what you do, 100%. Um, so audience, I just really want you to grab a hold of what is being talked about today, because I know a lot of you are energetically in a place where you're shifting to a higher vibration of what you feel like your calling is. And that is why I really want you to resonate with what Dr. Brown is talking about, because it's all encompassing. So if you choose that path, it's body, soul, mind, and spirit. And it's something that I know a lot of us always think. And that's why I love that you just shared this. When I asked you, like, what's your morning routine? You're like, it's my life. It's all that I do. It's all just one element. And I love that, because with my audience here, you all, we always talk about, like, morning routines or what we're doing. And then we meditate and do this, and then we do this, and then we, whatever for 10 minutes. But it's beautiful to know that when you walk through that path, you can carry this type of energy right here. That's, just confident in who you are inside and out, and really just embracing vulnerability. So you don't actually have to do all those rituals to make you feel like you're, at your best place. I love that. I love that you say that, because it it shows that you can merge, like, who you want to be and where you're trying to go to, like, throughout every porous of your entire being. Like, you can just be that. It's just you,
yeah, yeah,
And even coming against, like what you were saying, different people have perceptions on how they choose to view you, which I love that you mentioned that, because when I call you or I'm texting you, it's like, there you are in your motorcycle. I'm like, where's Dr. Micheal Brown? And then it's like, and then your picture shows up and you're like on your motorcycle, it's this, edgy black and white. I was like, there he's going. He's going to go get the 13 elephants. He's like on a mission. And so
yeah,
I just love that. I love that you do that and you just embrace who you are, because it's so true. We can always put ourselves in these boxes, and I just love that you just encompass who you are and you go for it unapologetically, and you're like, take it or leave it. Either I'm for you or I'm not for you, But
mm,
if you want to come this direction, I have all confidence that my work will be done correctly. I love that. So
yeah.
tell us about okay, so you explained the 13 elephants. What what are some tricks or tips that you would like to give our audience today, just going into this new year, 2024, and just moving forward in, like, their calling, or just energetically what they're trying to heal from? What are some things that you can share with us as we move on
I,
into this
I think
amazing
one of the,
year?
I think, uh, I'm not, whether your audience agrees with this part, I'm unsure. But I think there's an element of manifestation and positive thinking that causes great discomfort. I think you can, as I said before, wake up in the morning, centralize yourself in whichever way you choose to do that. You may choose to do that through meditation. You may choose to do that through yoga. You might choose to do that through some kind of internal dialogue. You might go for a run. There's lots of different methods. But you centralize yourself in preparation for the day. the element of positivity and manifestation, I think, is flawed in that we can't possibly go through a full day every day advancing on the day before. We can't
Mm,
do that. We can't wake up and say, I'm the best mum for my kids. I'm not going to yell at my kids. I'm going to be the best dad. I'm going to be the best employee. We can't maintain that. At some point, we have to say, we've cocked that up.
yeah.
We're no longer doing the best we did. Be who we are, assimilate to something else that doesn't exist. We don't have some kind of attainment that's a gold. We can just be ourselves and be cool with that. So my main message is that we learn, we're kind, we're graceful, and we understand ourselves through other people. So by our engagement, we get up in the morning, we go down to the cafe, we have our coffee, we start our day. We talk with people, we say hello, we smile,
Mm,
we be graceful. We don't need to be something that we're not. And then life will pan out in the positive way it does. And this is coming from a person that has worked with people that have been violently abused at a very young age, that have lost family members. This comes from a person that believes within everybody there's a level of understanding that you can just be yourself. Don't strive to be anything else. You don't need to. Just be
mm.
confident in self, whatever that looks like. I'm not one to judge, measure, but confidence is joyful and brings light, and it sheds light to look at
Mhm.
say, wow, man, that's cool. You might not necessarily follow any level of manifestation or positive thinking, follow oneself and one's own journey and be kind and graceful with it.
I love that. No, that's so good. That's so
Yeah.
good. I love it. And I love that you share that because you are right. When people do go into a manifestation journey and they're like trying to manifest and they're doing all the mindset work, it can be overwhelming. Like it can be like, oh my gosh, like, am I doing this right? Is it happening? Is it gonna, And so I love that you are just really good about talking about sinking into it and in that aspect of it. So also too, I know that you have like a
Yeah.
free giveaway. So audience, I know it's crazy. We have this here. We already have this interview and all these great techniques to go into your day. And but also too, he has a free giveaway. And this will be just a really great way for you to connect if this is something that's really resonating with you and just all the things. So do you want to share about what it is? I know that we had talked about, let me write this down. The 13 elephants, and they can contact you through your email, right? 13elephants at outlook.com. .co.
Yeah, or I can be contacted through my website, excuse me, which is again 13elephants.nz.
Oh,
So they can contact me through my website is easier. And then I'm happy to offer the first 5 people a free 30-minute session.
oh,
And we
that's
can do that via
wonderful. That's awesome.
Zoom or whatever method. But yeah, through the website is the easiest, which is 13elephants.nz.
Okay, perfect. So we'll have that all for you all under here, definitely. And so as we're coming to a close, I just want to reiterate to our audience that the difference between this interview and a lot of the other ones that I do, I'm sure you all can feel energetically, is just when you do get to a place in life where you feel there is a heavy calling on your life and you are transforming and helping people heal from what they've gone through, traumas, all the things, that it's so beautiful to know that energetically you can relax and have all the confidence in yourself that you will get through your day and that you don't have to overwhelm yourself with doing all these things perfectly in order to make the impact that you're making. And, with Dr. Brown, with you sharing that, I feel like there's just like a release to my audience that you know, it can happen no matter where you are in life. And it's not something that you have to constantly strive for, but just really being yourself, exactly what you're talking about. And honoring that and trusting yourself in that, because it's just it's the main component of who we are as people, is to trust who we trust, you know, trust our decisions, trust our intuition. So just in closing, I just have a question
Yeah.
also too. How did you choose to work in a field with like this magnitude, with children that have been abused, or people who like have just gone through like a whole nother level of darkness? How did you choose that path over all the other ones that can be just a little bit lighter?
I think again, it's about the lived experience, and there's a sharing of space in a lot of ways where, because I have my own internal conflict and have for many years, and I've learned to grapple with that and understand that, then work with the demons in that, and then utilize that in a way which can be very therapeutic for other people, that I was obviously just drawn to this space. I've never been sexually abused as a child. I had a really good childhood.
Mhm.
But I do have an understanding of what it's like to work with other people who have been sexually abused, because of the vastness of their experience. And what drew me to that was that I was a kid at some point. At some point, I was
Mm,
a little boy, just like you were a little girl and other people were little boys and little girls. So we do have an understanding of what it's like to be a little boy or a little girl.
yeah.
We don't have to be sexually abused to know what it's like to be a little boy and a little girl. And when you're
Mm,
sitting across from a little child that's been sexually abused or violently raped, you can actually communicate with them in a way that you are a little boy or a little girl like them. So
yeah.
it's the similarity of experience that enabled me to say, you know, this is what I want to do. And the same with mental health. In business, when you're working with business people, there's a level of holistic understanding that is absent from any business environment. It's just not there. Business is business, and that's it.
Mm,
You can bring that part of that experience to that environment very easily if you know how to practice in the third space, if you know how to connect things, if you understand that people are just people, and underneath the surface stuff, there's something real and there's something authentic. And that's the part that draws me to this space and this kind of work, the authenticity of it.
I love it. I love it. I cannot thank you enough, honestly. Just all the work that you're
My
doing.
pleasure.
Ah! So
Well, thank you.
audience, we will have all of the information below, the websites, the contact information, and also to taking advantage, the first 5 for this free giveaway of this session, which is going to be amazing. And so if you have any questions or concerns, please get in touch with us, and know that you are not alone in your journey. And I know that this content is just really life-giving and definitely brightens up every moment of our day, just hearing stories like this that are just really transformational, and knowing that we can do it, going through what we're called to do, but just really stay in a place of vulnerability and being honest and being confident in who you are. Thank you so much, Dr. Micheal Brown, for being here with us and sharing and just being so generous about your time, and then also the free giveaway. We completely appreciate it, and we cannot thank you enough.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure and I've enjoyed the experience. Thank you.